Talkwalker's Benjamin Soubies, who is the managing director for Epic and Japan. Talkwalker is an enterprise listening company helping the world's largest brands to drive revenue by activating the voice of their customers. Through its AI-powered platform, Talkwalker gathers conversational data to uncover, understand, and action consumer insights. In this masterclass, Benjamin will take us through a brief representation on the importance of customer experience in today's world. His presentation will be followed by an in-depth Q&A session, and we invite you to submit your queries via the Q&A box below. Over to you, sir.
All right, thank you very much, and hello everyone. Give me just 2 seconds to. All right. So I hope everybody can see my screen.
Yes.
Yes, sir, yes.
All right, cool. Thank you very much. So yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Really enjoyed the panel just before. A lot of great insights, and so I'll be also talking about customer experience, right, and the importance of data. So first of all, my name is Benjamin, right? I'm leading Talkwalker Asia Pacific and Japan. I'm very excited to be here. I think I'll be speaking for the next 20 minutes or so. That way we can make sure there's a Q&A afterwards. And so the topic that we'll be covering is the importance of customer experience in today's world, right? So what I'll do is that I'll first introduce Talkwalker quickly. I'll introduce also a bit myself before trying to set up the context and some challenges that are commonly faced today in elevating the customer experience journey. And afterwards, we'll be looking at some specific examples of using data to populate your whole customer success and customer experience strategy before leaving you also with some key takeaways. So for those who are hearing about Talkwalker for the first time, we're an enterprise listening company, all right? And so what we do is that we help the world's largest brands to drive revenue, and we do that by activating the voice of their customers, right? We have 9 offices worldwide. We have 2 in America, 5 in Europe, and 2 in Asia, Singapore and Tokyo. We're over 400 people globally now, but a third of them are engineers or data scientists, really helping us, becoming a leader in AI and machine learning. And that is why we've been recognized by different organizations. And so what we do is that we provide a platform, right? And our conversational intelligence platform provides organization with a unified view of their brands, their market, and their consumers, right? And we do that by leveraging AI across media, across customer, across consumer, but also market data. So a little bit about myself. I'm based out of Singapore. This is our regional headquarters, and this is where I'm talking to you from today. And this is why I'm wearing a mask, because I'm in the office, and this is a regulation here. I've been in the region for, over two and a half years now. And I came here after living in different countries in Europe, also a short stint in the US, right? I've been with Talkwalker for 4 years now, but even prior to joining Talkwalker in companies such as TBWA or Gartner, always been a very strong believer of research and of data, right? But particularly how powerful data insights can fuel growth of businesses, how it can drive innovation, and also customer excellence, right? And so today, very excited to cover this topic, precisely on the role of data into shaping, if you want, a strong customer experience strategy, and how it's key into driving conversational intelligence in organization today. And so conversational intelligence, it's all about listening to your customer, their sentiment, also their intent, what they like, but also what they complain about. And so here the goal is really to make the voice of the customer available to you at each different touch point. So I'll first, in order to start, I look a bit at what happened in 2021 before setting the context for 2021. Right, so last year, 2020, clearly a year, unexpected surprises, right? I think all of our businesses, wherever we are, we were forced to extremely quickly adapt to the fast changing environment. But so what does it mean for 2021? Well, as we've seen last year, the importance of going digital, we can definitely expect many of those trends to stay this year. And so here are some key statistics to give you a better idea of what to expect in 2021. So the first one is, according to Forrester's 2021 prediction report, we expect to see more than 60% of B2B sellers to be enabled by data and automation. So what do I mean by that? I mean sales tools that have embedded AI or automation functionalities, right? And so what does it show? Well, clearly it shows how the majority of B2B businesses are realizing the importance of going digital. Furthermore, still on the same report, we see that we can expect 35% growth in the public cloud infrastructure globally, right? And this is clearly coming from the workplace effects of the pandemic, because it made our businesses, all of us, realize the importance of cloud tools, of cloud apps. And why did we realize that? Well, it was just in order to keep the business running while all of our people and ourselves were staying at home. Then in a research done by Facebook and Bain, we can see that 83% of consumers said that they're likely to continue increased spending online after the pandemic. Again, clearly showing that this trend is here to continue post-pandemic, but not just for businesses, for consumers as well. And finally, as businesses continue to embrace digital changes in 2021, it is predicted that 25%, so a quarter of the brands, will achieve significant advance in customer experience quality in 2021. But so in order to do that, and with all the changes that we'll see this year, the customer journey, I think we can all agree, is no longer straightforward like before, right? Rather, this is what the customer journey looks like today. And what is it for? What is it with? It's basically multiple touch points. So this means that businesses need to reinforce the customer connection across all of these different touch points. And that way, the standard for good customer experience will also become higher than ever before. And so we can see that a customer experience challenge is real for all of us. And why is that? Well, customers have higher expectations, right? We know all expect to see more. We all expect to see better from brands. But we also want more consistent experience across touch points, right? We want them to be great. We want them to be personalized touch points, but still while not feeling too intrusive. And this is a very hard balance to find for us brands, right? And then finally, it's no longer possible for businesses to map out the customer journey in a straight line, right? So that opens definitely some key questions. Examples of key questions that we should all be asking ourselves now is, who in our organization owns customer experience? Who owns all the customer data? Basically, the question comes, who knows the customer the best, right? Is it the sales department? Is it customer support, customer service? Is it the marketing department? But also potentially even IT or operations. And so the answer is probably all of them, but at a different moment or at a different level. And so with those multiple touch points across the customer journey, what does this mean? Well, it equates to multiple data points, right? And this is why consumer data is so important to CX, as this is what allows us to truly understand our consumer. And so I really like this quote by Roe A. Williams. Is a best-selling author and marketing consultant. And what he says is that the first step in exceeding your customers' expectations is to know those expectations, right? And I think this is absolutely true because it's extremely important to really understand the customer inside out, that we see what they see. Because the customer perception, our customer's perception should be our reality. And this is what Kate Zabriskie shared, which is also a very interesting person to follow. So when dealing with data analytics, there are some challenges, right, that are commonly faced by organizations. And so in order to gain insights on what these challenges could be, Talkwalker, we recently launched a State of Conversation report, right? And so what we did is that we surveyed more than 1,000 PR, marketing, and consumer insight professionals to see how brands today are leveraging data from the consumer conversations in order to truly understand consumer behavior, but what are also some challenges they face in the process. In this research, we see, and this is like based on India's company and India's respondents, we can see that only 20% of them said that the organization monitor and analyzes conversation through a unified platform. So that means that 80% are not doing that, right? So lacking a centralized view of their customer. And so having a unified view of your brand, of your market, of your customer is extremely important. And we've heard some examples in the panel just before. It's about leveraging not only online, but also offline data, putting them together. And this is what makes you come to the voice of the customer. Because you will not only get a full picture, but also think about the time that you will save during that process. But then most importantly, what you will do with that time. And by having more time, for example, professional can then add this human touch that is often missed, but that consumers, especially millennials and Gen Z, are expecting. Also based on our findings, we see that over 50% of Indian respondents stressed that they were not able to gather enough data about consumer conversation or to analyze them adequately. And so with a majority of organizations today still using a manual approach or separate market tool for conversation monitoring, what happens is that there's clearly bound to be difficulties faced in consolidating this data, analyzing that data, and then deriving actionable insights from them. And so to reduce these difficulties, brands should consider moving away from manual conversation monitoring and instead trust unified platforms. And so to follow up on the finding coming from our report, let's look at how brands in India are leveraging the different channels available to them, right? And by here, I mean the conversation channels. And here we see that customer feedback and support is the main reasons why companies in India use conversation channels, right? This is followed by product research and innovation, and then by brand promotion. So brand promotion is only number 3. And so this shows that brands are using conversation not only to protect their brand, but also to promote their products and get insights on what their customers would want to see next. However, at this stage, and we can see that here, 14% of them are leveraging conversation channels for all the reasons listed here, right? So only 14% if you want. So what does that mean? Well, it means that there is a missed opportunity, right? And clearly, potentially a lack of capacity to extract the maximum benefit from all those conversation channels, the data and the insight that they could provide. So if you want more detail on this report or other key findings, please do reach out. We'll, of course, be happy to send it over. So now that we've established the concept, and if we keep these common challenges that we just saw in mind, I'll try now to proceed to share with you 3 ways to approach consumer or audience data in order to achieve unified conversational intelligence. And to do that with the idea of shaping a strong customer experience strategy this year. Because I want to highlight something. The great news for all of us is that this data is already here, right? It's already available for us to use. We now have the possibility, leveraging technology, to do more with what we already have. That is to leverage our existing assets to make more money, but also as we plan our future investments, to make sure we do it with the voice of the customer as the main source of data. So you heard conversational intelligence a couple of times already, today, since the beginning of my session, but what is it really about? Well, when we talk about customer conversations or consumer conversation, we're of course talking or thinking about online chatter, right? Your social media, your blogs, your forums, news sites, and so on. But it actually doesn't stop there, and it shouldn't stop there for you either. What's often ignored, forgotten, or as we've just seen, siloed in different departments is customer conversation. And it includes, for example, call center transcripts, market research, surveys, emails, and so on. And so brands must now monitor all these different channels by which the customer feedback enters an organization. And so conversational insight will then inform your future strategies. It will inform marketing, content, social media, but also product development, PR, and paid advertising. basically your entire business strategy. And this is what the following examples will show. So the first example, we'll look at the pharmaceutical industry, and we see how we can have a view of the market through consumer conversation, right? So here we're able to see that there was a sharp increase in volume of conversation surrounding the COVID-19 vaccines towards the end of 2020, right? You can see the spike is quite obvious. And this is actually when countries began rolling out the administration of the vaccine, right? But we also see that the split in the sentiment in this conversation, where the majority of them were neutral, and then followed by negative sentiment. The volume of conversations driven by positive emotion significantly lesser than negative and neutral. And this is most likely due, when you look at the data, to the skepticism surrounding the whole vaccine process. But amidst these millions of conversations, what are people really saying? And so here we're looking at a conversation cluster that identifies the main topics driving conversation in the pharma industry, in those millions of results that we saw just before. And so what a conversation cluster does, it's grouping articles, it's grouping content or conversation, if you want, in different clusters that you can see here, and it groups them according to their semantic similarities. So as you can see, some of the key topics highlighted here are the conspiracy theory about the vaccine, how the COVID-19 vaccines were developed at record speed, but also the topic of world leaders taking the vaccine first, ahead of their citizens, right? And so here that cluster highlights the topics important to consumer during that time, but also indicates what actions the key industry players are taking. And so that way, it will allow businesses to identify opportunities, but also challenges that are dead at hand and respond to them accordingly. So in a matter of seconds, millions of conversations are processed to get you to what is the most relevant and frequent across them. Next, we'll zoom into another industry where we see how data helps us have a good view of our customers, which then will allow us to create a customer journey that is best suited to their needs. Here we're looking at consumer snack trends, which is I'm sure a topic that many of us can appreciate, especially that many of us have been or still are working from home with the kitchen that is actually not so far away, right? So first we look at some big picture data. We can see between May to November 2.7 million mentions regarding snacks, 10 million engagement, 1.4 million unique authors, right? All talking about snacks. Okay, great to know. But how can you actually make sense of that data? How can you use it to populate your product innovation strategy and assist your consumer insights team? Well, it's by digging deeper into this. So by looking deeper into the data to analyze what matters the most to consumers when it comes to their snack choices. Is it health? Is it taste? Is it size? Or is it convenience? We can also look at this at a country level, which is on the right, as consumers in different countries would have different priorities and preferences for their snacks. We can see India extremely big on taste, right, with 36%. Singapore also huge on taste, while Indonesia prioritizes size, right, with almost half of the conversation talking about this. And Thailand is all about health, right? And we'll see more about this later. And so what would this information help us do? Well, we will be able to better target consumers in the different countries with the types of products and with the messaging that follows that would actually best appeal to all of them. Finally, still on the snacks, what are the snack types or the snack moments that are popular in the region, right? In India, tea, most popular snack moment or type, with conversation surrounding this, taking up to a quarter, 25% of the conversation, right? Followed then by cookies, biscuits, and crackers, taking up 15% of the conversation, the two actually being quite good together, right? In Japan, well, clearly, it's about cakes, it's about pastries, it's about pies, because conversation regarding such snacks, taking up 87% of the conversation. While in Indonesia, we can see jelly, we can see jam, they appear to be the most popular snack type, and followed by pudding. And here to come back to Thailand, we see that Thailand apparently, is big on chocolate. They're big on candy. But what does that mean, if you're developing snacks, and targeting the Thai market? Well, it means that definitely invest into developing chocolate and candy, but do your research because they want them and they expect them to be healthy and with little to no fat contents, as we saw just before. And so such information, by looking at the data, drilling down the data and drilling deeper into it on different aspects, allows us to better position our products for the consumers in the different countries, rather than assuming that one size fits all, right? Because that strategy will definitely not work for India and for the rest of the APAC region, right? And so as this example have shown us, consumer preferences vary significantly across the region. For the third and final example, we'll look at a very crucial aspect in achieving a good view of your brand through the lens of the customer, right? Which is to analyze customer sentiment across multiple and different brand touchpoints. So here we can see the overall sentiment split across 4 channels that are social media, online reviews, customer support, and customer service, right? And so we all know that different organizational units, they generally own different customer touchpoints, right? But unfortunately, that could very easily translate to inconsistencies in customer experience. But perhaps more critically even, gaps within your or our data insights. And so for instance, customer support, and we can see it here, will typically face negative customer sentiment. Why is that? Well, it's simply based on the facts and the reality that customers reach out to customer support when they have issues, not when they're happy, right? But this is not necessarily true, and something that we encounter with online reviews or customer surveys, especially if our organization has a system for inviting genuinely satisfied customers to leave reviews, or even incentivizing them or groups of people to participate in surveys or focus group. Another way to look at this is to look at the main product features, again, across those different brand touchpoints, to see what are the customers talking about across the different channels. We can see that on social media, the camera feature of the product dominates the majority of conversations. However, in online reviews, the product battery is the most talked about feature. So after that, we can, for example, run sentiment analysis on all those different features across the different channels, even run some more demographics or country split or regional splits within a country if you want. And this will give you an accurate picture of what customers are saying about your brand and about your products. And so giving us a better view of our customers and the way they view our brand. And this will help us strategize our messaging, but also our communication strategy for the different channels accordingly. As you can see, it's therefore crucial to not only look at social or online media, but also at first or third-party data. And we all have it in our organization to really have an understanding of all the different data points that are now available to us. And this is what I meant by doing more with your existing assets and leveraging things that are already there and available for us to use. Ultimately, to truly take your customer experience to the next level in today's world, it's really important to have an in-depth view of the customer, conversational data across every single channel, but also every single touch point. Social media, focus groups, interviews, NPS, chat, surveys, and so on. But all this on a unified platform. And so based on the data across this platform, we can then discover the trends, but also the issues that are driving customer conversation around your brand, your competitors, your products, but also your competitor products, and within your industry or your market. And it's much better to be proactive than reactive, and we've all seen examples of that. From there, we can then analyze the data across the multiple customer touchpoints And we can do that using advanced data analytics tool that can help us overcome challenges like data silos. And so the good news for all of us is that with technology, there is AI, there is machine learning, there is automation. So it's not possible to understand conversations at scale without having to spend hours and hours, and actually most likely days, manually crunching, manually processing, or comparing this data. This way, businesses can focus more on doing what matters and driving positive experience for the customer. If you want, again, adding this human touch that will actually be key in the way we communicate today, but that is too often overlooked. Finally, once in-depth data analysis and processing of customer conversational data has been done, the next and final step would then be to leverage the insights obtained to drive conversational intelligence within your organization and create impact by elevating your customer experience strategy. And so this brings me to the end of my session. Thank you very much again for taking the time to join me today. I was very happy to be here. I hope it gives you a better understanding of what constitutes conversational intelligence and how exactly you can connect the different data sets, right? And remember, by achieving unified conversational intelligence, the business impacts, if you want, will be the following. It will allow us to have more targeted marketing, enhance our customer loyalty, but also create better products. And all this while communicating in the best possible way. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being a part of our event, sir.
Oh, my pleasure.